Well, we're here. I know she is smiling down, just happier than ever. And I shared at her memorial the first night we met, for I think most people were there, when we met in Chem Lab. And I have never in my life met anyone with more energy and joy over chemistry class and chemistry lab at 9 o'clock at night in my entire life. And when she bounded over to me, that started something pretty spectacular in my life. I wasn't quite sure how to handle her energy at first, but it grew and it changed and it just lit one light after the other. And she did that at UT too. And I was there for a full year without her before she came in behind me. And I didn't know what I was missing until she showed up there again. And we got to do our classes together, and she brought so much joy to that campus where there's a whole lot of stress and a whole lot of anxiety, and she would walk in and change the entire room with her smile. And she was the kind of student that, I remember I told her on her first day, do not be offended, because she was so excited about meeting new friends. And I said, look, you're old, okay? And I'm old, and they don't really know what to do with us. So I'm warning you, when you go to sit in that class, nobody is gonna sit next to you. And she just rolled her eyes. And I was like, I'm telling you. And I get a text, and she's like, it's like guys just smell really bad. And like, there's this sea of empty chairs around her. And I was like, it's okay, it'll change. They're gonna get to know you, they're gonna hear you, they're gonna see your smile, and before you know it, there isn't gonna be an empty seat around you, I promise. And sure enough, within the first 2 weeks of class, she was surrounded by kids who could not get enough of her, and she never had to sit alone in any of her classes again. And she was the most thoughtful student. I was going through a really hard time trying to kind of discern my path and what I was going to do, and if medical school, I was exhausted. I was shadowing, I was in honor societies with her, we were in there together, but I was picking up all these extra things, and I was really struggling. And every day I would come out to my car, and she would have a Bible verse with a love note stuck to my windshield. Every day. And sometimes it was on the back of the kids' homework, sometimes it was on an empty index card, sometimes it was on her homework that had been graded and given back to her. But she always had something positive with the scripture waiting on my car for me during those months that I was so exhausted. And she did that a lot. She would know that we were studying, and she would drop off snacks in the library, knowing that I hadn't eaten in 2 days getting ready for these exams. And she would show up with food and kiss me on the forehead and turn around and walk off. And like before I even knew it was her, like she was gone. But it was just enough to say, hey, I love you and I am cheering you on. And that is who she was. Even though she was raising 4 kids and going to school and working hard and pulling long hours, she always showed up for everyone around her. And before you knew it, she would walk through campus and little kids would just be following her around, and we had new people at our lunch tables and like new people wanting to get into our study groups, and they just flocked to her. And I know she loved every moment of her time as a Longhorn, every moment as her time as a student. And even though we are not heading into medical school together, she left a lasting impression on me, not just on me, but as you heard, on her professors, on the younger students, on the kids who never knew Christ, who were questioning about him after she left campus. Everybody remembers her. There isn't a single person that they don't hear her name and they just light up, because that is the light that she left behind on campus. I'm really proud of her. Yeah. As I know we all are. And I watched her shine, and you know, I think one of our most toxic traits is that we both thrive under pressure. And yes, that can be good, but in our case, sometimes when we were studying, it was very, very toxic. So we would be, you know, one night before the test, and neither one of us had slept in 3 days, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, the kids were in bed, we've been like drinking coffee and drinks all night long studying for our test that was at 7 a.m., you know? But she always pulled it off, and she did it well, and she did it with a smile on her face, and she would make sure that the kids got to school before she got to her exam. And yeah, it was the most special time of my life getting to know her. And if I look back on my college career, it's not UT that I remember. I mean, it's great, and I love being a Longhorn. It's a privilege, but it's her. It's her. It's those moments that I had with her. It's watching those moments that she had with other people. It's those late night study sessions of eating really horrible food. You know, we're both like pushing 40 at that point. We knew better than to live off coffee and bad food, but we had a blast doing it. And, you know, it's just, she left a trail of love and memories, and I will forever cherish them. And I know she's smiling down on this diploma and knowing that she did it, and she worked so hard, y'all. I know you know that, but watching her in the throes of it every day, she worked hard, and she never complained. She always had a smile, she always had love to give to somebody, and she always was full of joy. I think I saw her complain once, and I complained too. We were in a chem lab. We met in a chem lab, and this was no chem lab on campus, and I saw her complain one time for a very good reason. But she still handled it with more grace than any of us in that lab. So she was the shining star even in that moment. But anyway, thank y'all for being here to celebrate her. She worked hard, and she deserved this more than anyone that I've ever known. And thank you for letting me speak and share those memories of her, because she left a long trail of love and light and memories for all of us on that campus. So, thank you.